the OSF, because obviously I see an American website with a thing that says, a button on it that says pay, and I think, what are these guys going for? Is this going to be the Buddhist version of a giga church, or what do you call it, an American giga church, or possibly a megawatt, or even a gigawatt? So I'll check it out. So I read your legal document, which is your registered tax exemption. And
hang on, I'm confused now.
Yeah.
You were talking about a general website that has the word pay on it.
Yep, that's the one.
Okay. We don't have one. That's not our website.
Well, somewhere in it there's a thing that says donate.
Right. No, we've got a Dhamma page.
Yeah. Okay.
It has a lot of text on it. It has a video on it, and it does have a PayPal button for donations.
That is correct.
Okay. It's obscure, intentionally obscure.
Okay.
So what's your question?
Well, my question is, I mean, I don't. Wait a minute. What am I doing? There are various questions, but first of all, you have an address in the USA in Tempe, AZ, but the map...
Arizona,
that's the one. And the map shows that it's in a Safeway store, or around the back of a Safeway store.
All right. Is that a problem?
Well, you tell me. I mean, this is a foundation.
Yes, okay, but we do. We have an Arizona address because the corporation for the 501(c) was formed in Arizona.
Okay.
So we have to have an Arizona address, and the first one that we got was from Parker, and then he wanted his address taken off, so we put another one on. And I didn't take care of that. That was something that Keyshawn, the president, had done. And I cannot guarantee the accuracy of the Google Maps. All we can do is give the map an address.
But, I mean, is it in a building, or are you operating out of a post office box or something?
I have no clue. It's an address. And in fact, we don't need an address because everything that's going to be happening is going to be done online anyway. We don't have a facility. We don't have a meeting place.
Okay.
But we do have it all legal. You saw that, in fact, we got the legal documentation.
Yes, I'm just...
I'm kind of surprised because I'm assuming that's in a residential neighborhood, that's what it looked like to me on the map.
Yeah, well, what it looked like to me on the map is as though it is behind a Safeway store, and I was wondering if it was some sort of post box arrangement, and with
perhaps
not an actual address at all, just a post box.
I don't know, and I don't care.
Well, maybe the law does, you see, which is why I'm asking.
Pardon?
You know, maybe the law does. Maybe the U.S. law does.
That's the whole point is that the law cares and the law approves.
Well, yes, but you can get the law to approve of things without them knowing it. I don't know whether the U.S. law requires any more than a post box for an address for the purposes of your 501c3, but there we are. Yes. I'm just wondering.
Actually, the IRS does not care at all. What they care about is the Arizona corporation.
And yes, now I'm coming to that. I mean, this OSF, is it a corporation? Is it an unincorporated association?
No, it's a 501(c). It's not a corporation. It's not an LLC. It's a nonprofit organization, a 501(c).
Okay, and it doesn't have to be, you don't have to specify whether it's incorporated or unincorporated.
It's not incorporated.
Okay.
Intentionally, it's not incorporated because corporations have corporate officers, et cetera, like that. And this is a nonprofit organization, a 501(c)(3).
Okay.
So
And
I guess the kind of questions you're asking is because you're not familiar with U.S. laws.
well, yes, that is true. But I also would like to know, does the OSF actually have a bank account?
Oh, absolutely. We couldn't do what we're doing without a
You
bank
couldn't
account.
do if you
That's
didn't.
why we have to have the 501(c) papers in order to get the bank account.
Right.
And we have to have a bank account in order to get the PayPal.
Good.
All of it hinges on getting the bank account, and the bank account hinges on getting the 501(c), and the 501(c) hinges on getting a corporation, and we've got one in Arizona.
Right. Okay. And who are the signatories to the bank account?
Well, we have one primary signatory, and I suppose that we have two. The president and the treasurer have access to the bank account.
Right.
The president is Keyshawn Eubanks, who lives in Chicago, and Matt Hoskins from Florida, currently in Thailand, is the treasurer, and he's taking care of all of that. Doing a really great job too. I'm very pleased with how they're handling it.
Well, I'm glad. Yeah. So what is going to be the mechanism? I mean, of how the OSF operates, because I've heard you speak of expanding the Sangha in the West and funding individuals to go to a Wat in Thailand in order to learn to do Buddhism properly in the Eastern way.
Well,
Now,
there is also a lot of Asian Wats in the U.S., and
yeah,
in fact, most of the Wats that we have listed on our website are in fact in the U.S. And we have a lot of them. We have several from England. We've got them from, I think there's one in Northern Africa. There's two of them in Italy, one in Mexico, 24 or so in Thailand, and about 200 in the United States. Maybe a half a dozen in Canada.
Okay. But essentially, this is sort of collecting funds, presumably, so that they can be used for individuals to do something useful in the way of
yes, I'm actually working on that page right now of the people who are receiving some donation money already.
Right.
That we're already supporting both Kat and Pedro. They're both in that area that need support. But we also have two others. One is named Kimasitu, who is now housed in Manchester in the UK, and the other one is Eric. His Sudanto is he was ordained in Royette, and since both of them are fully ordained monks now, they need very little support.
Good.
But in order to get them ordained, I personally put out a little bit more than $1,000.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're currently still supporting both Kat and Pedro. And Pedro is on his way, and Kat is actually here on the island at Wat Rusi Pa Siangtang under the guidance of Achan Maitri. And like I said, I'm just now getting that page ready for publication.
Okay.
So we do have people we are already supporting, people who have come through the support and are fully ordained.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just sort of thinking, as I have to think. I mean, because this is the, you know, hang on.
David Matt, let's go ahead and have this conversation, and I'll talk to him later.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, I mean, I'm thinking if I want to give some money, I want to know where it's going. That's
Yes,
all,
absolutely. In fact, I'll go so far as to say that that was Matt, because he's been our primary donation, and he's wound up being the treasurer, so he knows what's going on. So maybe you want to have a conversation with him, because he's the one that's taking care of the money. All I do is development work and donate out of my pocket, and sometimes the corporation, like we've got a professional corporation that's doing some of the website for us.
Right.
And we still owe them some money, but that'll be paid this week.
Okay. Okay. And then another question about the list. I said
What list? What are you talking about?
your list, the website, the, what do you call the thing, the XLS, the spreadsheet, with the names of the various teachers on it and Watts and so on. Now, if I give you the name of, for instance, the Aruna Ratanagiri Buddhist Monastery in Northumberland in England, which I have done, should you or we or the OSF be checking out with them that they want to be on your on the spreadsheet before we put it there?
Well, I'm not thinking from a lawyer's position. I'm thinking from a Dhamma position.
Sure.
I'm thinking of Sangha. We're thinking about connecting people together who want to be connected together.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. And so they have websites out, so that means that they do want to be connected. Most of them have websites. They're Buddhist Watts mostly. And if not Watts, then it's a Zen center. Name me a Zen center who wants to stay hidden.
I don't suppose they do. I'm just thinking about complying with the requirements and rules and things. We've got a whole lot of privacy laws
I'm
here.
really glad that people in the world are concerned with rules and things. We're concerned with something else completely, and that is Sangha, to help people find one another, not only to list the place's name, but if we can, actually put a map out of where they're located. And ways to get in touch with them, including, can you email them? Can you call them on the phone?
Yeah.
In a way, it's a fancy phone book.
Yep. That's fair enough.
And as far as I know, in the United States, you were forced to have your number in the phone book. You had to pay extra to have your name taken out of the phone book as an unlisted number. You had to pay to be an unlisted number.
You do. Elsewhere, that's the same, yes. Elsewhere, it's the same. All right. So that's how you do it. You just put them on the list. Fair enough.
It's been taking a lot of work to find all of these places and getting all the information that we're looking for.
Good.
Including photos, which most of the places that if they've got a website, they've got photos. And so we want to present the photos also.
Yeah, well, if they've got websites, of course, you can see all the photos on their website.
Many of them have at least one YouTube video up also.
Mm-hmm. On a happier note, I just, as part of a little trip into the country, dropped in at the Kagyu Samye Ling monastery in the Scottish borders. It's Tibetan. They
Okay.
say that they're in the Kagyu lineage, whose supreme head is the 17th Gyalwa Karmapa.
Okay, here's my question about that. Is he resident there?
I've no idea. For all I know, he might not be alive.
I bet not.
I
Okay,
mean,
here's one of the things about the Tibetans is that unlike the Thai, Cambodian, Laotian, who had to go through a war called the Vietnamese War, or in a Vietnamese, they call it the American War. But in any case, because of that, visas are a whole lot easier to get. And that's why there's so many Thai monks and also so many Laotian, Cambodian Wats, etc., like that. However, most of those who call themselves Zen centers or Mahayana or Vajrayana or whatever don't have Asians as residents. Asians that have been ordained for 20 or more years, because it's hard for them to get visas. And so more than likely this place that you're talking about, the head dude there is Western. He's not Asian.
No, they are. They've got them on their website. They do have Tibetan monks there.
Oh,
I don't
really?
know.
Okay,
They
so
do.
great.
They do. They do. I mean,
So those are the guys who were interested in getting their names of and their addresses and the photos of Asian monks. That would be something that we would really like to put on the website. However, I can't say that we don't want those that are run by Westerners on the website, because some people may want to go there.
Yeah, no. Yes, well, they have one locally to me. They have a Thai place locally to me that does have at least one Thai monk in it. They have a website, and they talk about sort of.
Is that the one that you gave to Pedro?
I haven't given anything to Pietro yet, but
Well,
I
he
will
said
do.
that the one that you were giving him, he already had in his database.
Does he? Right, that's good. That's good. No, it won't be that. It's a much smaller outfit.
All right. But
It's a
we would really like to have that data to put into the database.
yeah.
And you can ask them as you're getting the address and getting the information. You're saying that this is going to be put on a website called the Open Sangha Foundation,
I can
so
do
that
that.
people can locate your place in case you want visitors. If you don't want any visitors, then we won't put your name in there. And I imagine they say, "Oh, we don't mind if you want to ask them."
I'm sure they will say, "Come one, come all." Yes. Okay. Well, there we are. The only thing I would say about the Tibetan place is that it, it's remarkable how incongruous it looks, in the place it's in. When you're used to seeing these places in the eastern, and indeed the Tibetan, or well, I've been to Nepal, and the Nepalese concept, but you find a place like this in a little shallow valley where it rains all the time and everything's green. And you
Would
think,
you
what?
think that it might have something to do with low rent?
I'm sure it has something to do with low rent. They're right up. They're right up at the head of the valley, kind of thing.
All right. That
The farmland's not worth anything up there,
so that's an
relatively.
indication of the lack of funds because of the lack of the Asian community to support it. To where if you go to the Thai Watts uh, all around, Amravati, Chithurst, you've got bunches of them in the UK, and they are all well supported by the Thai community and the Sri Lankan communities and etc. that actually live there. But there's going to be very few Tibetan citizens
Yeah, yeah.
probably living in the UK, which means their funds are going to be very limited. They're not going to be building these almost skyscraper like great big palace kind of places like you'll find the Thai people doing.
Well, actually, they've been going for about 30 years, this lot. So they've obviously got support.
Right.
This Tibetan
But
lot.
the support at the level that they're at, not the support of having their own private Trump Tower.
Well, they have a big time Tibetan building with a curved roof and all the rest. Quite a
Okay,
large.
so there is some money then coming
Oh
in.
yes, there's money there. I'm sure there's money there. Yes, they all get money from, you know, that's what it's for, isn't it? It's anyway, right. I suppose I better leave it there. I will I'll get into sending stuff to Pietro in a bit.
Yeah, that any places that you know of that you locate that you're finding, thank you very much. We would like to put these places on our
Good.
website, and that Pedro is the one who is doing that. In fact, we've got about 100 that have not even been loaded onto the database yet. They're still in spreadsheet form.
Right. Now, if I can turn on to a wee bit of Dhamma, I want to ask you about.
Are you finished with the website?
I'm finished with the website. I'm finished with the website. I'm not sure that I'm going to put my name on it because I may be, these people may want their names out there. I'm not sure I want mine out there. I mean, I'm all right on these videos as a talking head, but that's
Yeah, I would highly recommend that you put your name on the website. Who knows, there may be a young man just around the corner from where you live that would be very happy to know that you've had some Dhamma.
And you might come around.
We can all use some more friends. That's basically what this is. It's kind of like a LinkedIn just for Buddhists, or it's kind of like just a Facebook for Buddhists.
Well, that brings me back to the whole thing, of course. Buddhist. Once you sign up for this, you're signing up for a religion, and I don't want to sign up for another religion.
There is nothing religion. Have you seen anything religious about our website?
No, nothing about it's religious about your website, but it's at the bottom. That's what it's for. It's for religion.
At the bottom,
sending people. It's sent for sending.
What at the bottom of one of the pages? What do you mean by at the bottom?
At the bottom, behind it, it is effectively recruiting people for religion.
No,
getting monks.
You and I have been friends long enough that you know that's not true. You know that that's not true. You know that I don't teach religion, and that there's nothing religion about the website, and there's nothing in behind it other than rubble of the destroyed religions, because I'm out there destroying religions.
I know that you don't teach religion. It seems to me that what you're teaching is what came before religion, before it all got organized.
No, it was pretty organized when the Buddha came by. He had a lot to say about destruction of the organized religions of the day.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, his one, as he was teaching it at the time, was pre-religion. He was outside the existing religions.
No, it was not pre-religious. That in fact, what you could say is that the religions that existed in the time of the Buddha that he taught against for many centuries had Buddhism by the throat, wrestling it to the ground, telling all kinds of lies about it, trying to make Buddhism part of Hinduism and other things like that. Or the Moguls were actually out there with their knives and swords and whatever weapons they had, killing about 80 million people in India.
Yes, I appreciate all of that, but at the time
so they
of the
were
Buddha,
pretty much against whatever Buddhism was teaching, because Buddhism was not teaching religions the way that Islam,
they wanted it. Yes, I know that. That's my point. That the Buddha came along and said, listen, He didn't say forget about all these other religions. He said, I've got something here. And a whole lot of people said, I'm going to have what he's having. So he gathered them together. But then later on, it got organized. And by the time you've got into
It
all the
depends
other...
upon who organized what. Yes, there were people that, in fact, there's a lot of what you would call religious people in Thailand. But I would not call most of the monks that I know of in Thailand religious at all. And what I would say then, that one of the key ingredients of religion, in order for it to be defined a religion, is that it's got a supernatural story.
Yes, that is true normally, but I think what all of them are looking for is to let you die happy or make you die happy, as I understand it. I mean,
No,
that's
promise you that you'll die happy while they're after your money.
precisely. But they've got ceremonies. The Catholic Church has got a thing called extreme unction. They put oil on your forehead when you're dying and all this kind of thing in order to
That's
make
right.
you feel happy and and no doubt sign the will, sign the money over to them. But that
Right.
may
I
be.
understand all of that. But I thought that we were discussing Open Sangha Foundation, and here you are wanting to talk about religion.
I said I'd finished with the Open Sangha Foundation.
Oh, okay.
I said I'd finished with the Open Sangha Foundation, and I was trying to well, really, I got sort of sidetracked by the question of whether or not I was going to put my name on any list.
Yeah. And you said you wouldn't put it on a religious list, and so we're back into talking about Open Sangha Foundation, about what list you're going to be on. So I didn't know that we were finished with Open Sangha Foundation. We were still trying to get your name on a non-religious list.
Okay, well, let's forget about non-religious lists then. Let's forget about non-religious lists. That's not where I was and what I was trying to do. But really, what I wanted to ask you is that, as I understand your teaching, you say that one should, in the course of the day, practice remembering, practice sati, practice anapanasati for short periods, so that, as I understand it,
If
you
they will
get
do
into
even
that.
that much. If they will do even that much.
So that you get into the habit of keeping your mind happy, I suppose.
Well, out of the unwholesome, because
Out
that's
of
what
the
the teaching is.
unwholesome. Yeah.
Yeah, to keep it out of dukkha.
Out of the unwholesome. I'm wondering if, I mean, the suttas that I know about seem to be concerned with seclusion, going into the forest, sitting under a tree, all this kind of thing. Is there any sutta where you're told, or the Buddha talks about being in the world, going around doing what you have to do, and keeping your mind on the wholesome while you're doing it?
Are you asking for a magic silver bullet that has all of those things? If there is one, I would suggest that you look on where Anna was asking me about Sutta number 20.
Sutta number 20, okay.
Okay, where the Buddha says is that what he's talking about a sign. What that means is kind of a mental image,
Uh-huh.
or a mental image that is conditioned by stuff like your past. And if you
Mm-hmm.
take that sign, if you take that image and turn it into, because of that, unwholesome thoughts, the
Mm-hmm.
Buddha recommends that you change the sign, that you
Change the
distract
image.
yourself into something that's more wholesome and start having wholesome thoughts. And then
Right.
he uses the analogy of just like a a carpenter, in order to remove a peg that is big enough to get stuck in place, the way to get that peg unstuck is by taking a slightly smaller peg and using that and beating it to get the bigger peg out.
Yeah, bash it through the hole, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's what we do with every whole unwholesome thought. Now, how do we begin to train the mind to do that? Well, we do it intentionally for a few minutes of let me watch my mind and get it out of the unwholesome states.
Mm-hmm.
Now, later in the practice, you can just be sitting reading the newspaper, you can be sitting doing work on something, or you can just be laying in bed without anything in particular, and then those unwholesome thoughts will come up. And the question is, can you catch those things and change the sign, change your focus, think of something else? And so instead of thinking about you're angry at grandma because she bested you in an argument, you can change the sign to, wow, she's really good at arguing.
Yes.
And change that into a wholesome place. Okay?
Yes, indeed.
And when are we going to learn to do that if we don't actually practice?
Well,
We have
yes.
to practice changing the unwholesome into the wholesome.
Sure. No, I'm just wondering if there was anything specifically aimed towards what I understand you to be teaching regarding bringing the mind back to the wholesome in the course of life off the cushion, so to speak.
All the time. In fact, that's one of the problems with Western Buddhism is they think that it's all about a sitting meditation rather than a living meditation.
Yeah.
The Buddha didn't teach it as a sitting meditation, but if you're doing it, why not sit down?
Yeah. More comfortable that way. Yes. Although you can do it standing up.
Yes. You can do it running.
Yeah, I'm sure you can. I mean,
you can do it driving a car.
Yes, you can. You can.
Mm-hmm.
I know that.
You'd better have some wholesome thoughts. You better watch where you're going. You're going to correct that car if you're not paying attention to where you're going. So, in fact, driving a car is a really excellent time to practice.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. It seems to be getting worse as time goes on. Not for the cars driven by idiots and the pedestrians launching themselves into the middle of the road.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is what they call road rage. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So can you, as a good little Buddhist driver, not get your mind into road rage?
I try to. Yes. Well, it's.
And there's no promise about going to hell if you don't watch where you're driving, but there is a fairly good promise that you're going to wreck your car if you don't watch where you're going.
Yeah, well, you can kill somebody and wind up in jail too.
Right. But religions are trying to get even more on their side. That where we don't need the police, what we need is to remember to watch where we're going, to watch what we're doing, mentally mostly.
Yes.
Without the promise of heavens and hells.
Yes.
Okay.
That's fine. That's fine. But, but. I mean, there is a good deal of the teaching of the Buddha is surely directed to your being in a wholesome state at the time when you come to die, not knowing where you're going next, if you're going anywhere at all.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter if you're enjoying this moment. It doesn't matter what the next moment is going to be. You can take care of that one too.
Yeah, quite.
Even if there's not one, you can handle not having another moment.
I think you can handle not having another moment an awful lot better than entering into some
Having to
sort of
handle the
hell
fact that
realm.
you may have a hell in front of you. Right. That's the whole point. Is
Yeah,
just so religions keep people in fear intentionally,
I know.
keep them dependent intentionally, to where the Buddhist teaching is to teach them to stop being afraid and become free
Yeah, yeah,
from
yeah.
all the things that you've been told to do. In a way, you're saying we can have our heavens right now
Yep, yep.
and stop having our hells right now.
Well, yes, yes. I appreciate that. That is the teaching. Yes, good. Right. Well, I've had my little search for information about the OSF, and I've had my little bit of Dhamma. So I think maybe we better leave it there. Okay.
All right. Well, I happily invite you again to sign up and to become part of the community. That this is going to be a growing community. Most of the people that I know are, a lot of them have already signed up.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yep.
And there's a lot to do. I mean, this website hasn't been launched yet. Just like you were asking, well, what are we going to do with the money? Well, right now I'm getting together a page of showing these are the guys who we're already supporting. These are guys that we have supported in the past, and what we're looking for, if you don't mind, I would like to tell you about, is that most of the Westerners, no matter what their age are, is this is kind of the unknown, and people are afraid of the unknown. And so the OSF is there to give them the support of, oh, if you want to come to Thailand, you've got a friend, you've got a group. If you get yourself into trouble, we can help you get out of it, and we can help support you. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, for the coming of Thailand, about the only thing that I would personally recommend for the OSF to do is that if somebody can get themselves into Thailand, pay their way here, then we will have a lot of watts for them to come to. And I always invite whoever's coming to Thailand, and there's been already a couple of dozen guys who have come and gone back.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, some of them are staying in a Portugal monastery,
Mm-hmm.
a wat in Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Jesus is going back to Amaravati, sorry, Jesus. And so getting them involved in the Watts in the West is also a major part of it. They don't have to come to Thailand. But the
Mm-hmm.
point is to get people engaged with old monks, of monks who have been monks more than 20 years, so that we can get more Westerners involved with the Asian Sangha, and that I can see Westerners coming. I've got students who want to be teachers. Well, the best way to get him to be a Dhamma teacher is by getting him into a wat where he's around some old monks
Mm-hmm.
who will teach him
Sure.
how to live his life happily, so that he can then teach others how to live their lives happily. So I assume that over the course of time, we're going to have a lot of people who would have not ordained, would ordain. A lot of them who would have never gone to a wat now spend a lot of time at the wat. Those who want to teach wind up under the direction of a head monk at a wat in the West, would be helping him to teach.
Right.
We've got a
Right.
lot of expertise that's going unused, while you've got a lot of Westerners out there charging money for the Dhamma. And those, in that case, I think of them as not legitimate teachers, because they're charging money for something they don't have. And the favorite point is, how can someone teach generosity if he's not being generous to his students? He's a businessman, he's selling stuff.
Yes, and you have some of them, I believe, on your list of teachers. on the
Yes,
website.
I do.
Yeah.
And I've also got special codes in there that if you know how to use the codes, you'll
Uh-huh.
come up saying that this guy is a money grubber, but I want to be very polite to it. I don't want to go around poking fingers at people. But yes, I've intentionally put all the top dudes in the West on the website.
Yeah.
There they are under teachers. You can see a long list of teachers. You also see a long list, if you look at it, the elders. Most of the elders are ordained.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one or two that are on the elder list that are not ordained. And yet on the teachers list, almost all of the people on the teachers list have never been ordained. And yet they call themselves teachers.
I thought most of these guys had been to the East and had.
Right? As a tourist, a couple of months or so, not like Achan Samedo, who came in the early 1970s, and he's still a monk. Achan, Achan Samedo, Achan Panya, Amaro,
Yeah, sure.
Panyananda, the whole group of them. But what you'll have at the top list of Western people who were famous for being meditation teachers have not spent hardly any time at all. I can really name names, tell you how many months they were, tell you that they didn't stay long enough to find out anything about what they were doing, especially in regard to the fact that there are two Buddhisms. There's the religion Buddhism,
Yeah.
and then there's the teaching of the Buddha. And most of these guys are not teaching the noble Dhamma. They're teaching what they can make money off of. So they are religious. They are very much like the Christians. In fact, in many ways, Christianity is better than these Buddhists.
But you also do have people who have been ordained, as I understand it. I mean, who's the man who's doing the translations for Bhikkhu Buddhadasa?
Santikaro.
Santikaro, I think he's got a website. I
Yes.
think.
And
And
it
he's
should be on,
presumably
and
teaching.
the reference to his website should be on our website.
Yeah.
To help people find Santikaro. A lot of people would really like to find out about Santikaro, and we can help them do that.
Uh-huh. And I don't know if he charges for teaching. I don't know.
No, he doesn't. I know him personally. In fact, almost all of the elders. In fact, actually, all of the elders that are on the list are people that I've known personally. And no, Santikaro does not charge money.
But a cynical person would say, when you are going to, so if he's going to go to a retreat, and he is told, well, we operate on pure dana, and you can give as much or as little as you want, but they still feel shamed into giving plenty of money for it.
That shame is part of the culture. It's not part of the Buddhist teachings. The Buddha never asked much for anything. They would invite him to lunch, and he would give a Dhamma talk at lunch. And somebody built him a kuti. Okay, so it depends upon the attitude of the donor.
I see.
Now, Bhikkhu Buddhadasa actually goes even further than that. Just like, as I've mentioned to you, the donation button that we have on the website is fairly obscure. We don't ask for money, but there is a Dana page where people can talk, where we can learn about generosity. I also need to put in there, that's part of what I was going to talk with you about, is that here's where we're going to spend our money, is by assisting individuals getting ordained or getting into the position as a layman so that they can teach for free. And what we would do then is support the retreats by paying for all the food and everything for the retreat in advance. So that Dana goes back into the afterthought rather than the purpose.
Yeah. But I mean, how do you tell the difference between, give me $200 a day up front, and everybody else is paying $200 a day, and that's dana, and you have to do it of your own free will, rather
That's
than
the Western. I've seen that. In fact, I was quite taken aback when I was teaching university. I was teaching at Detroit Institute of Technology, and the students had an event, and on the sign, $5 donation.
Yeah, that's what they
Yeah,
say.
but that had nothing to do with Buddhism, and that was a long, long time ago, many, many years ago. Okay, so
Yeah,
this whole
yeah.
idea of mixing price and using the word donation or dana are thoroughly confused in the West.
They certainly are. They certainly are. Yeah.
And I can't possibly hope to straighten that issue out on our website, but we will do it in the sense of um, letting people who are going to donate to know exactly what their money is going to go to. Then, in fact, I would assume that if you're going to donate for us, rather than donating to someone obscure that you don't even know who's staying in Thailand, you don't know who he is, and here you have us coming by and vetting this guy,
Yeah.
and also handling how much money he gets. But if you want to donate specifically to him, yeah, you can contact him and give the money directly to him. In fact, the way that I'm dealing with Cat here on the island is that I give him cash out of my pocket without having to worry about anything about OSF, and I would do that for as many guys as I could. And I think that I could probably handle maybe 10, maybe 15 guys, especially if it's only for a few months or a few years to help them out, getting them some visa money when they still need visas and that kind of thing. But how are we going to locate people? That's what the website is all about. But also the website is there to help them. And it's really okay with me if folks like you read and then don't join. And don't pay. Don't donate, because we've got enough donations right now for the level that we're at. And I would assume that we could handle a whole lot more students right now than we have donation money coming in.
Good.
But we've got plenty of money. We've got more than $3,000 in our bank account right now, or actually it's in PayPal. It's split between the two of them. Between the two, PayPal and the bank account, we've got more than $3,000. That's because people have been donating.
$3,000, yeah. That's buttons.
Pardon?
That's not an awful lot of money.
It's an awful lot of money when you don't need an awful lot of money.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. I mean,
And we haven't even launched. We haven't even launched. We haven't gone public yet. We're still in the developmental stage. We don't even have all the web pages in there, and look how many we've got.
Yeah.
Have you seen the slideshow? We've got a lot of slideshows. We've got hundreds of photos. And we've got a budding library. In fact, we've got so big of a library, we decided to put it on Google Drive as a library so that we don't have to manage all of those files on our own website.
But of course, it's not difficult to find all the sort of translated material online anyway, for the individual. But there we are. Okay.
So the website's not really ready yet, and I think that we've got plenty of money because it doesn't take much money. For instance, again, Cat, because he's the one that's the shining example, because Kimasitu and Eric Sudanta both have already completely ordained, and they don't need us.
No, once they're in. Yeah, fine.
Yeah, once they're really in, then they don't need anything because everything will be taken care of. But if they did need something, An example of that is that Eric, his cell phone went down the toilet, literally. But somebody came through, one of the Asian people came through, and he's got another cell phone.
Uh-huh.
All right. So, Cat is a good example because all he's getting is free room and board. But he doesn't have any lay supporters because the lay supporters don't normally support 8 preceptor white robed Anagoricus, which is where the level that Cat is in. He's not ordained. He may not ordain. He may go to another temple to ordain. But he does have visa issues, like everybody. He's got to go to this and that to do the visas and whatnot like that. And so we want to make sure that he's got that, because otherwise he would have to crawl back to his daddy's house in Ireland, which he doesn't want to do.
Yes, I know about your visa issues, actually, not at first hand, but I know somebody who, a layman, absolutely nothing to do with any kind of religion, so I've no idea if he has or hasn't, but it's just somebody I used to work with a while ago who settled in Thailand and found himself unable to go back, and throughout COVID. And he couldn't sort his visa until he could get back or something. It was all very, very complicated, and he had to live in
Things got
somebody
really
else's.
complicated because there were various portions of the Thai government that were at odds with each other.
Is that
Because
right?
some groups didn't want to change anything, and others were making really, really big changes because of COVID. But they've gotten that more or less straightened out. They actually, the visa laws have relaxed quite a bit because of COVID. It is easier now than it was before COVID, and it was tough during COVID. That's why I told all of my students, don't come to Thailand. This is not the right time to come.
Yeah.
But that time is over now, and it's time to come. Or it's time to go find a Wat that's close by and hang out. So one of the things that we're going to put on the website is directions of, well, what do you do when you get to a Thai Wat? You know, we got to tell them you got to take your shoes off and you got to blend in and you got to go see the abbot and you got to go do this, that, and the other thing that they don't know anything about. And what happens is that when they go with the mind of a tourist, then they'll be seen as a tourist at these Wats, and nobody will give them much of anything. But if they go as a Dhamma student, they will be well welcomed in. And so this is part of what the website is going to help people do, is to understand how to go. You've heard of, obviously you've heard about the statement or the catchphrase or the cliche, first impressions. Right. Okay. So we want to help people get first impressions correctly. Because if they give the wrong impression at the beginning, now they've got a hurdle to go across.
Sure.
And West, I mean, there was a guy, I think his name was Horace Greeley, who made the statement that east is east and west is west, and never the twain shall meet. And
there was a guy called Rudyard Kipling who went on to make a whole long poem out of it too.
Right. Okay. So that exists still today, and it exists in the minds of people who have no cultural knowledge, and it's really difficult for them to walk into an Asian temple and learn to fit in right away. And so they'll leave disgusted, and the Thai people will say, well, I'm glad he's gone. And we could have done something differently. And then he would have loved it there and perhaps stayed. And that doesn't take a lot of money, but it does take a lot of trust. And that's part of the reasons why we have these donations available, is so people could trust that we are a safety net for them.
You know, it occurs to me about fitting in that language is a big thing. And maybe some, for people who are going there, maybe some thought could be given to some language teaching for them, because
we're so far ahead of you. Wow, we're so far ahead of you. Yeah, that in fact, Keyshawn has been invited to teach the monks English at Dhammarato in Chicago, in Hinsdale.
Right.
And that here's the point about that these Asian monks who have been monks for years, you see, the Asian people do not want to have a young monk who wants to come to the United States because it's the United States he wants to come to. No, they want old seasoned monks who don't want to come to the United States. Those are the ones they want to come to the U.S. All right, and so they don't speak English. And when they get to the West, get to their the Wat that they've been invited to in the West, either in England or the U.S., now the people there, the Asians, see that Wat as a cultural center, and so naturally they feed their Thai monks Thai food and speak in Thai language, and so the monks never get a chance to learn English, though they would appreciate it and would be willing to take lessons from it. And so this is an excellent thing that we could get Westerners who wouldn't have gone to the Wat at all because they would rather spend $7,000 on the internet to get a pricey fix, or go and argue with people on Reddit, or go buy some pricey books. If we can get a hold of those guys and say, hey, what you really need for Buddhism is go to the Wat. And once he gets to the Wat, then he'll learn to fit in. He can teach the monks English, and the monks can teach him some real Dhamma about how to live at the Wat. And then the next thing that'll happen, and I know this for sure because I've seen it happen over and over again, those non-English speaking monks will push their newfound student into teaching. The first thing that would happen would be a weekly meditation class. And the monks would be there just to pay attention and to give moral support. And this new Westerner who has been reading all of these expensive Dhamma books now is put on the spot to really teach some good Dhamma. And now you've got students who are coming from the city there to come to that Wat to learn about Buddhism that would have normally not come because there was nobody there. And so what do? They go to Reddit, they go buy expensive books, they go buy an online course, they go to a retreat.
So this Westerner that you got going to your Thai Wat to learn, I mean, he's teaching, presumably, he's put on the spot to teach, he's doing that in English, is he?
Yes. Well, he wouldn't be put on the spot to teach in a language he doesn't know.
Well, I hope not. Wouldn't get very far. Yeah, well, that's interesting. That's interesting. Okay.
So this is the whole idea: is to get east to east and west to meet each other, as well as students who are looking for teachers, and Western teachers who are willing to teach without charging money for it. And so we do have a page of teachers who are willing to teach the Dhamma, and a way for people to get in touch with them. And so there's no money exchanged or needs to be exchanged, or if the student wants to, he can donate directly to that teacher, or he can donate to us with the point of please give this money to this teacher. And so we're there to vet the teachers, we're there to support the teachers, and we're there to help teachers stop charging money because they're afraid, and start teaching real Dhamma that's based upon generosity. And this is the time to do it, because that old guard of those that we've been talking about, those money grubbers, have gotten old. What's the next generation going to do? Is the next generation going to learn real Buddhism and generosity, or are they going to actually learn from these old crones, these old thieves, these old charlatans, that Buddhism is charlatanism, just like Christianity is charlatanism. And we've got an awful lot of Buddhist teachers in the West that are charlatans. Famous numbers of books.
Yes.
Monks who translate badly and then charge big bucks for their books.
Well, of course they do. Of course they do. You got to make a living somehow.
Pardon?
You got to make a living. You got to support yourself. You got to eat.
That's the Western mentality. The Asian mentality is that you are already well supported and you have everything you need. Now let's spread the Dhamma. You see the two differences? The Western mentality is you got to eat. And the Asian mentality, or the Buddha's mentality, is that you've already got all the food you need. Go spread your joy. That you're well cared for, you're well taken care of, you've got friends, you've got support. You don't have to go get money from your students.
Yes, right. Okay.
And so this is a very Asian kind of thing that we're building here, this Open Sangha Foundation, because it's actually based upon real generosity, real dana, as opposed to the fake kind of donation $5.
Yeah.
And in fact, I have seen them, one of them in particular, who actually knew about Bhikkhu Buddhadasa, but he's kind of forgotten everything that he learned from Bhikkhu Buddhadasa, because he says that, I have been living on donations, please donate more. He's an old man. And then down at the bottom, please click this to pay for this class. So he's going at it from both ends, which mostly they do. They try at both ends. They're there for the dana, but they're there to charge too.
Yeah, but you're living in the West. You have to. You're having a Western lifestyle, and that costs some money.
Right.
Anyway, listen. I'd better let you go there. You've got other people wanting to talk to you.
Yeah. All right. Well, Gerry, we'll see you later.
Okay. Cheers then. Bye-bye. Thanks for
All righty.
the help. Ta-ra.
All right.